welcome to the Tuesday edition of the Daily Market Commentary. Hope everybody had a great trading day yesterday. I am your host, Chuck Fulkerson, living the dream, kicking it old school, however you want to say it. We're going to do what we do each and every day. We're going to take a look at 10 to 12 futures markets, identifying potential turning points and breakout trades. The key, if you're new to the channel, is that we leave the lines on the charts. I don't change chart lines unless I do it in the video so that you can see how trades develop, form, and move over time. So let's dive right in. If you're new to the channel, do me a favor, click that little subscribe button down below. If you're not new to the channel, do me a favor, leave a comment. It helps the search engine feature when there's more comments. So leave a comment down below, even if it is, hey, I like the commentary, or your voice is weird. I'm okay with that too. So all right, let's dive right in. So the S&P, we had a breakout yesterday. We broke above our 2742 line that we've had here for a while. We're not getting a lot of movement off of this. We've not seen, there was no oomph out of the breakout like we had in the Nasdaq. And with that lack of oomph, I will tell you, last night I put in a short. I put in a candle-to-candle flyer for a potential short, and I got stopped out. I put it in right here once we got below this candle's low, because I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday and he sent me a text about, hey, should I get short the Nasdaq up here? And I said, well, only if it's a candle to candle short. And I said, you know what, I'm gonna give this a flyer myself, because coming up into here with slowing momentum, this looked like a potential reversal, so I got short right here, was in it for maybe an hour, a few hours, and then got stopped out somewhere up in here. So actually, I think I got short here and stopped out right there. So, it wasn't a long-lasting trade, which I'm okay with, right? You've got to be willing to take those kind of positions, because there was a good chance that if it did fall, it was going to fall all the way down to here at 27.18. That was really the next good stopping point. And so I very literally risked 2 points to make 22 points. And that's a solid strategy, right? Take those anytime you can get them. But what do we have going on today? Well, we've broken out above our line. It's continuing its move higher. I did not jump into this breakout because of the extreme breakout we already had on the Nasdaq, and if you're still running with that one, then there's no reason to jump into the long on the ES. So took that short on the ES as a potential flyer, which is a hedge against the kind of the running long of the Nasdaq. Well, where's the next Nasdaq stopping point? Well, guess what? We are almost back to our new all-time highs. So we're just a few points away from setting a new all-time high in the Nasdaq. Now, should you sell the all-time high? I'm not necessarily going to want to sell the all-time high. Although I will say, if you notice, the last time, take a look at, whenever the Nasdaq sets a new all-time high. For example, here was a new all-time high. We based sideways for a few days before breaking out up. Here was a new all-time high. The Nasdaq came back to that all-time high, blew right through it, and kept on rolling until it created this new all-time high up here. Now, the last all-time high, it actually had a little reaction off of, but then broke right through it. So what about this all-time high? What can we expect out of returning to this all-time high? Well, if we do get a breakdown, it'll be down to this region here, which is why on the smaller time frame, we have a potential entry somewhere down in there. So go back to our hourly chart. So our potential entry is still the area here where we had the breakout that occurred right through here back at 7,000. So there is room for it to fall. However, I'm not thinking that it's going to get down there anytime soon. There's really no reason for it to jump down to there. As far as the S&P goes, if you're long from the breakout, stay long. There's no reason not to. I don't see a good retest trade on this one. Coming back, there's not a lot of great areas in there like there was in the Nasdaq. Now, as far as the S&P, we are coming up to what could be a reversal point. Now, this is the daily chart. We are sitting right at an area with this green daily chart area. Let me wrap this so it's a little easier to see. I got a lot of lines here. We are coming up to this daily region. So this is why, I think that we could get a little slowing of momentum on this thing coming up into this area. This is actually a pretty decent reversal point. You know, I don't know that it's going to happen for sure, so I am not shorting that area up there, especially on the hourly time period, because on the hourly time period it's too much time in one spot. I've got the area way up here on the hourly chart, so I think there's still room for it to run. Let's move over to crude oil. So crude oil is nearly to our confirmation entry down here at 63.72 by 63.95. So somewhere in this, remember, to get long on a confirmation entry, it has to come halfway into the level for activation, and then get long as it comes back out of the level. If it comes into the level and goes, you know, doesn't go halfway, where there's no entry. If it comes into the level and goes through the bottom, then it's a canceled trade. So just follow the rules on those as you're setting those trades up using your activation rules. This is the kind of arrival that we want to see, though, is a fairly strong arrival into the area. Those are going to give us better profit margins if it does indeed come out of that level. So nothing to add at this point, although we may want to, you know, look up here as a potential addition for a potential short if it does come back to here. I don't know that it's going to. Gold, you know, we're just jumping around here, chop, choppity, chop. On the weekly chart, like, you know, the bigger picture for gold, boy, this is a nice weekly trend, right? And it could bounce off of this weekly trend line. I've been talking about this for months, and I've been essentially using gold as a hedge against long equity positions. For those that are, you know, longer term traders, I still have, you know, equity positions that are long, but gold is that hedge that in case the equity positions fall, ideally gold is that hedge, and it sets up to brilliantly to go eventually up to 1,500 or so. But for small time frame, for you know what we do on the daily market commentary, our daily trading, nothing in here that I'm absolutely in love with. It's just, there's just not a lot of great reversal points. Now we could get a breakdown short out of this area. So if you're so inclined, you could take a short below here because we're still in between some bigger trading zones here and here. Looking at the bonds. So the bond market, we got a little reversal in the overnight hours. Still have this line here, which served as our breakout long. I'm going to leave this line on here because I think that there's still some validity to this whole area. This seems to be our price equilibrium where we get major movements one way or the other off of it. So I don't want to take it away, although we're fairly far from it at the moment. On the hourly time period, I would have to come up to this region for a reversal that I like, but I do like this region up here for a pretty strong reversal potential. The Aussie, I got to tell you, I've had a rough week with the Aussie. It seems like almost everything that I set up in the Aussie gets me smacked in the face, and so I'm off. That's 2 days in a row of losing trades in the Aussie. So I'm going to take a little hiatus from picking Aussie levels. And why are we getting that? Why has that happened? Well, here's why that's happened: is because we chop, and we went from sideways trends to an upward trend, as now I have higher swing highs and higher swing lows. So the changing of the bigger picture trend direction, that's where when you have 2 or 3 losing trades in a row on one security, in my experience, it comes because the bigger time period has changed trends, and I have failed to recognize it on the smaller time frame. And that's, I think, exactly what we see here in the Aussie. Looking here at the euro, we have a breakout set up in here. If it comes back up above this region, still holding off on this one. And then the Canadian dollar, I don't really have anything in place that I love on the Canadian. We had a breakdown off of this area here. We've still got this area way up here that I think could be valuable at a later time, but I'm not going to touch it at the moment. Pound and yen are not really giving me too much of anything on the pound. Not a whole lot here. We hadn't really set up anything special in the pound. There's not a whole lot I like here for strong reversal candidates. In the Japanese yen, we did trade right at the halfway point and are coming out of this region. So we did get the entry. Your entry should be triggered here on the yen at that halfway point. We are coming out of it. It is a fairly weak exit. So I will say at this point, if you're in the position, I think it makes sense to move your stop to break even. I don't like the way that we've exited this region. I don't like the fact that we chopped along sideways right here before coming into it the first time. So I'm thinking it's a time to move your stop to break even. If you did take this entry, and now it's you set what we call a free trade stop and allow it to run if you're in it. Looking at copper, so copper, big run up over the last few days. Like I said, this is not one that I look at all the time, but if we do get a little pullback to copper, I'd like to look to this area here. And the reason I like this area here is because it acted as resistance in the past, which will be a kind of a I guess the word would be psychological level, because it's acted as resistance in the past, could act as support here in the future. Nat gas, we still have the area way down here for a potential long. We did get a decent move off of this short from a couple of days ago. I didn't identify the level. Probably should have. Hindsight is always going to be 2020, however. And so for those of you that caught that trade, which I know a couple of you did, I was talking to a friend of mine on text yesterday who said he had a nice day in nat gas. Hip, hip, hooray. That's awesome. Hopefully you're still riding it overnight. So somebody had asked me to take a look at soybean futures. So looking at soy, I will pull this one up. I'm going to start on the daily chart. We are on a daily chart having lower swing highs on soy, as we have those lower swing highs and slightly higher swing lows. So soy is pinching on the daily chart. When I move it to the 4-hour, that we can see the same thing right through here, moving it down. However, when I do go to the 4-hour, my eyes are pulled to this gap down here. Moving to the 1-hour chart. Now, let me give you full disclosure. I have never traded soybeans. It's not in my trading repertoire, but somebody asked me to take a look at it, so I said that I would. I do look at this area up here as setting up for a potential reversal based on where we are. Right now, we're in between these two daily zones, these two daily trend lines, so I've got to respect those because they're bigger periods. And I think until we get down to here, there's always a chance for a reversal somewhere in this region here. So for those of you that trade soy, take a look at that as an opportunity. Admittedly, it's not something I've ever traded. It's not in my wheelhouse, but it is a chart's a chart. And if I can understand how these areas of price imbalance work and I can find potential turning points, that would be the one that I would look for in this particular setup. So I hope everybody has a great trading day today. Do me a favor. For those of you that are aware or not aware, IIE Financial is for longer term investors. On the longer term side, I mean, certainly here we talk about trading, but I know a lot of people know somebody who might benefit from the longer term investment advice arena. So if you know somebody, do me a favor, shoot them over my info or have them give me a call. The email address is chuck@iiefinancial.com. Have them visit the website, which is just iiefinancial.com. Any referrals from you guys would be much appreciated. I know that for traders, it may not always be the right fit, but I'm sure somebody in your life it might be the right fit for. So that would be awesome and it would mean a lot. So thank you so much, everybody. I hope you have a great trading day. We'll be on tomorrow. See you.